This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. We're broadcasting live from the UN Climate Summit here in Bonn, Germany. Close to 200 countries are gathered. The U.S. says that it is pulling out of the climate accord. Well, on Monday night, activists and Democratic lawmakers staged a full-fledged revolt as the Trump administration made its official debut at this year's COP, at a forum pushing coal, gas, and nuclear power. The presentation was entitled "The Role of Cleaner and More Efficient Fossil Fuels and Nuclear Power in Climate Mitigation." It included speakers from the coal company Peabody Energy, the nuclear engineering firm NuScale Power, and a gas exporter. The panel was the only official appearance by the U.S. delegation during this year's UN Climate Summit. Well, Democracy Now! Was there Monday night as the U.S. delegation made its official debut. It didn't go too well, at least it didn't begin well, with the White House consultant telling Democracy Now! We could not film him.
Hi. For this gentleman. I don't know what you're doing, but please don't take any photos of me.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Before the U.S. delegation arrived, Democratic Governors Brown and Inslee unexpectedly addressed the press.
This is a sideshow. It is a blip. The world is not paying any attention to it because the world is not going to listen to someone who says that climate change is a hoax. You can report this news from Bonn. While Donald Trump is trying to sell old technology to an unforgiving world and an unforgiving science, the third largest economy in the world is moving forward with clean energy jobs, and that's the United States Climate Alliance, and I'm proud to be leading it. Kate Brown of Oregon.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Governor Inslee. We're delighted to be here. It is absolutely clear that President Trump is rejecting the economy of the future. 3 states working together, California, Washington, and Oregon. With British Columbia, we represent 1/5 of the world's economy. That's an extraordinary resource. We're all pulling together. We're rowing in the same direction, and we're going to move this economy forward. And we're doing it by investing in renewable energy and energy conservation.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Good luck. Feel good.
Thank you.
Feel good.
Thank you.
We're about to see the only U.S. Embassy press conference or public event here at the COP, and it is filled with corporate executives from the nuclear industry, from coal, Peabody coal to be exact, and natural gas. The room is packed because, well, it's the only event that they've held in this 2-week COP so far.
I'd like to introduce to you Dave Banks, who's President Trump's Special Assistant for International Energy and Environment.
The United States is blessed with an abundance of all types of energy. The President wants to use our country's vast resources to create jobs at home and create a competitive advantage that helps revitalize U.S. manufacturing. The President also wants to use our energy resources to benefit our allies and partners, to provide them greater energy security and prosperity.
The chart.
American, but we see right through your greed. It's killing all across the world for that coal money, and we proudly stand up until you keep it in the ground. Let the people of the world unite, and we are here to stay. To be an American, but we see right through your greed. It's killing all across the world for that coal money, and we proudly stand up until you keep it in the ground. Let the people of the world unite, and we are here to stay. So it's great to be an American, but we see right through your greed. It's killing all across the world for that coal money, and we proudly stand up until you keep it in the ground. Let the people of the world unite, and we are here to stay.
So my name is Isabella Zizi.
I come from Richmond, California. I'm 23 years old. I'm part of the Indigenous Environmental Network delegation here, but I'm also a member of the Idle No More SF Bay in San Francisco Bay Area in California. And today there was a huge walkout rally from the U.S. press conference that was happening in the room right behind us, who they were really promoting this so-called clean energy of using coal, nuclear plants, and also liquefied natural gas. And so that was their way of saying, this is good energy, but we from the United States were saying, no, this is a false solution.
My name is Tanu Yakupitiage. I'm with 350.org, and I'm the coordinator of the U.S. People's Delegation, which includes a lot of the groups that were here on stage speaking after the White House panel. I was inside, and it was just a really beautiful collective moment of resistance where over close to 100 people who entered the White House panel, we listened to basically a crony for President Trump speak about clean coal and clean nuclear and give his reasoning for why this is super important, even though nobody else at the COP is saying it. And then we collectively rose up together in unison, singing a song of resistance, and we turned and faced the press, and we held the space for over 10 minutes, and then we marched out to link with the frontlines communities, who, including It Takes Roots Coalition, who's also part of the People's Delegation, who are holding the space here, and together we really put forward the voices of those most impacted by the climate crisis, and we really wanted to hold a space in contrast to this panel that was really propping fossil fuel billionaires and telling the lies of the Trump administration, and really contrast that with the truth from our communities.
Hi, my name is Varshini Prakash. I am from Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm here with the Sustain Us Youth Delegation and also Sunrise Movement. And I am here because, as a young person, I am scared about the threat of climate change right now and in the future, and I am angry that people like Donald Trump and Rex Tillerson are putting my life and the lives of billions of others at risk. So we just sang inside a fossil fuel panel, basically presentation, and about 100 of us stood up together and sang our own version of God Bless America, to really reclaim this identity that America should be about liberty and justice for all, that it should be about an actual American dream, not just a dream for the fossil fuel billionaires and the elite 1% in our country. So we sang this song, and we walked out, all of us, and left them talking to each other and almost nobody in the room itself, and came out and joined hundreds of other people who weren't able to make it into the panel room itself.
My name is Jesus Vasquez. I'm from Puerto Rico. It's day number 56 since Hurricane Maria devastated our islands. And for us, it is very important to get our message out that we know climate change is real. We know the Caribbean waters and the Atlantic Ocean are warmer. We know we experimented 2 big hurricanes in a short amount of time. We have Hurricane Irma, then 2 weeks after we got Hurricane Maria. So for us, it is very disrespectful to know that this is going to continue, knowing just that 56 days ago, we got hit hard by a hurricane, and we're still in a country that is militarized by the U.S. military presence. We have limited access to clean water, and we have almost no power, no electricity. So we know this thing is real, and to know that fossil fuels are going to be continuing, and also nuclear energy, it's just guaranteeing that next year we're going to be in the same situation, and the risk is going to continue.
Our final speaker today is Lenka Collar. She's the Director of Business Strategy at New Scale Power.
I really appreciate the young people that were in here earlier voicing their opinion. I think it's important to do that, and I only wish they had stayed in the room. As Amos said earlier, we need to listen to each other. We don't do that enough, even if we disagree with each other. Last week, I spoke at a Women in Clean Tech and Sustainability event at Google, and I talked about the tribalism that we often see in this field and how we pit ourselves against each other, and that doesn't really get us to the goals that we mutually want to reach. Nuclear energy needs to be a part of the conversation here at the climate talks in Bonn and at future climate talks and all of the forums that we host throughout the year in which we're talking about large energy transitions.
I'm going to introduce Holly Kritka, the Vice President of Coal Generation and Emissions Technologies at Peabody Energy.
Let me begin by saying that while some people clearly believe that there's no common ground here and that there's no path forward for fossil fuels in a carbon-constrained world, we don't believe that's the case. There are technologies available today and others in the technology development pipeline that can dramatically reduce emissions from coal and other fossil fuels. And more to the point, these technologies are vital to achieving the goals of the Paris Agreement.
Right, I'm Amy Goodman from the Democracy Now! News Hour.
This is our last question before we have to wrap up.
Quick question, just a simple yes or no from each of you, whether you support President Trump pulling the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. If we could begin with Lenka.
I'm here for a reason, and that's to support climate change mitigation.
Just a quick, simple yes or no answer.
Well, the question was
whether you support President Trump pulling the United States out of the Paris Climate Accord.
No, I don't support it.
Holly?
I know you want yes or no, but our company's statement wasn't yes or no, so please just allow me to say what it is. We did not ever weigh in. There was reports, actually, that we weighed in both directions. Our opinion was that it's up to them. There's a lot to decide, but whether or not the U.S. is in the Paris Climate Agreement, we will continue to work on low emissions technologies for coal.
And you personally, Holly?
Gosh, I'm not really a policy person. I'm sorry, that was a cop-out. You're right. I personally, I'm not here to represent myself, so come talk to me afterwards.
Or no, are you for or against?
I'm not going to answer for my personal opinion.
Amos?
I think I have the easiest task. I don't think Dave or Francis expect me to say anything else. I work for the Obama administration. I supported the Paris agreements, fully thought it was a great achievement for the president.
Barry Worthington, yes or no?
There's actually two answers. The U.S. Energy Association did not take a position before the president pulled out of Paris. As soon as he pulled out of Paris, we issued a statement saying that he should renegotiate Paris. From my own personal standpoint, the answer is yes because of the reasons I laid out.
You support Trump pulling the
We're achieving the emissions reductions goals without having the regulatory burden. We're doing it for other reasons.
Francis Brooke.
Thanks, Barry. And now we're going to go to closing.
No, Francis, I'd like your response.
Can you? We're not
just
here.
Two more people. Simple question, just yes or no.
Takes 5 seconds.
I mean, pretty clearly, we both work for the administration, so that's who we're here to represent, and it's not going to change anything. So we're going to go through
David
closing
Banks,
now.
your final question.
So we're going to start with
yes
Barry Worthington. He's going to close for us.
David, any answer? I work for the President of the United States.
So is it a yes or a no?
That was David Banks, White House Special Assistant for International Energy and Environment, the person we've been trying to get on the show who's been standing next to our broadcast. Before that, Francis Brooke, policy aide in the office of Vice President Mike Pence. Of the 4 corporate representatives pushing nuclear, gas, and coal, 2 of them said they were, Lenka Kohler of NewScale Energy and Amos Hochstein of Tellurian disagreed with Trump pulling the U.S. out of this climate agreement. Holly Kritka of Peabody wouldn't say, and Barry Worthington of the U.S. Energy Association agreed with President Trump's withdrawal. That was the final question at the Trump administration's one and only panel here at the COP23.